Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program?
The question isn't what are we going to do, the question is what aren't we going to do.
Gotta have my pops. Don't stop believing.
Whatever it is we look forward to and whoever it is we're chasing, to that I say amen.
Keep this thing going. Pick a name. Go on the air. Talk hard.
To that I say all right, all right, all right.
World, the headlines read of those whose hearts are filled with greed, who rob and steal from those in need. To right this wrong with blinding speed goes underdog. Speed of lightning, power of thunder, fighting all who rob or plunder. Underdog, underdog.
I can't imagine the movie being longer. I can't imagine it being shorter. I think it was exactly what it needs to be to have all of those nuances. But at the same time, it makes you intrigued to see, like, if they do have deleted scenes, what did they not include?
This Friday, Tim Burton's masterpiece is back.
Fantastic!
In 3D so real, it's scary. Walt Disney Pictures presents The Nightmare Before Christmas. Rated PG. Only in Disney Digital 3D. Limited 3-week engagement begins this Friday.
Superman's not a man. He's an it. A thing in a stupid outfit and a cocky grin that's somehow become the focal point of the entire world. I will destroy him.
Your obsession with me is getting a little creepy.
Superman.
Great guy. Hey, buddy, eyes up here.
Rated PG-13, July 11th.
Our family faces danger that has threatened our planet.
What is that? Get us out of here!
Are we safe?
I don't know.
We are not giving up.
We will protect you.
Line them up, Johnny! What's the plan?
Trust me. I hate that
plan. That's a bad plan.
Terrible
That's
idea.
a stupid plan.
Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four. Rated PG-13.
Nick Jr. wants you to come along for stories, laughter, dance, and song on Gullah Gullah Island.
Hey, hey, what do you say? Let's P-L-A-Y play!
So join our friends for fun-filled days. See Vinya, chant some, and be amazed.
Come on, let's play!
Clap, tap, jump, or fly on Gullah Gullah Island. Drop on by.
Let's P-L-A-Y play!
Hey, what do you say? We've spelled it out, so come and play on Gullah Gullah Island. Weekday mornings at 11:30, 10:30 Central on Nick Jr.
All right, folks, welcome to the Friday Popscast. For those of you, yeah, I know, it's been a minute, haven't been able to do the Friday show, been able to get back into the recording routine again, talk about some things, and with me, it's a lovely guest, one of the Pops specials, that's right, one of the princesses, that's right, TayTay is in the house. Man, thank you for doing this. It's going to be kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to kind of get back into doing something a little bit more social. Working from home kind of separates me from that a lot. So it's good to just kind of get back into the swing of things, be a little bit more vocal and extroverted as I am. So that way I can kind of express more and talk more.
Wouldn't know where she gets that from, folks. Wouldn't know where she gets that from.
No idea, right?
Yeah, talking nerdy with the old man. We're talking about some stuff today, folks. Make sure you leave your comments. Let us know some topics you want us to talk about. We're pretty hopeful we can at least do this a couple times a month, if not more. We'll see how things go. Hopefully schedules and everything else in life and the world cooperates. But we're excited to be back with you and great to have Tay in the house. The first topic I kind of had was kind of a generic one. I think most people, by the time we see this, will have talked about this a little bit, is the reality of sort of like the box office failure of this summer is sort of hitting everyone. Like everyone's sort of kind of getting to that point where, oh yeah, this summer has really not been very good. Really, to me, the two biggest failures, I mean, well, I guess really the third one would be Mission Impossible. With the two, I don't think Mission Impossible, the franchise is already kind of done. I think that's another reason most people figured they're just going to wait for this to come out on streaming. Also, Mission Impossible is exceedingly long. I couldn't believe how long the runtime was. There's no way I was going to get my missus out there to go sit through a Tom Cruise movie that's almost 3 hours long for no reason. That could be streaming in a couple months. So, but both Marvel and DC needed these two to really hit big. Superman, of course, is like the first real big in the James Gunn verse, sort of like this big thing. Yeah, sure. Creature Commandos. I guess they're going to try to shoehorn Peacemaker in there some way, shape, or form. But reality is they needed a big move. And I don't know your thoughts, but I feel like it didn't do better than Man of Steel. So you're asking for all the Snyder Bros to just come at you, man. That's got to be one. So does it shock you that Superman has kind of fallen as flat as it did?
Well, I mean, you raised me as a DC kid, so it's been really hard to see that DC's not been impressive in comparison to Marvel and the way that they've been doing their films over the years, and that we've just gotten more of like recaps of the same copy and paste of the heroes that we love and the stories. Not saying that um, it's bad to, showcase the stories in any way. And it's good sometimes to get a change of pace with different filmography and the way that people do things. But I think more so with this, it's when you have so many different characters to work with, it's hard to see that um, there's not anything super amazing with this specific story that really captures the Superman that we know and love. And like you said, in comparison to Henry Cavill's uh, take on Superman, I think it is just different. It's not what we are used to. And I understand where they're coming from in the story and the plot that they did it, and how they changed his personality and how he handles himself with humanity because of the circumstances. And I think we both talked about how our favorites were actually the characters they introduced into this movie, because we got people that we don't see on the big screen, which for me was a big deal, because I've been waiting for us to have something else. Not that I don't like the trio. I love Wonder Woman and Batman and Superman, but it's good to kind of touch on the people that don't get that attention on the big screen.
I think that James Gunn's strength is when he leads into those esoteric characters. Like, so that it's not really a surprise that the people are going to come away liking Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific. I don't know who likes Hawk Girl. I thought she was just insufferable. However, at least Mr. Terrific. But I think the biggest thing is it didn't feel like a Superman movie. Everyone saved Superman at some point or another, including the dog. It doesn't feel heroic enough. I'm not saying it's not he doesn't have some heroism moments and things like that, but there's just so much in it. It's so fast paced. It really is it feels like an edit of two different movies that he was told has to be 2 hours long, because I feel like it doesn't even have enough time to breathe. And I have he's fighting Ultraman, he's fighting Lex Luthor, he's fighting this black hole situation, he's got a kaiju to fight, the Justice Gang is there, Crypto is there. I mean, it's like we needed a Superman movie as a foundational movie to build everything on, and that's why I don't think we got. And then, in contrast with the Fantastic Four, they needed it to do well to sort of right the ship after so many bad movies. So so Superman got to 611 million as of the recording of this, and Fantastic Four is just over 500, so 506, which is a complete disaster by old Marvel numbers. And I admit, I think I liked Fantastic Four better as just a generic film without my comic book prejudices. Like, if I could more objectively, your mom, the missus likes Fantastic Four better as well. It's a family movie. It seems fine.
It was.
But it also didn't do anything that wowed anything. There's not a lot of action, and the action at the end of the movie versus Galactus was terrible. And what I mean by that, just for those of you who haven't heard me rant and rave about Fantastic Four, it's all we see. Reed Richards it's a very generic version of Mr. Fantastic. Not only is he not very smart, because his idea of this teleportation thing is retarded. However, he doesn't really do anything. Like, we should have seen him wrapping around Galactus at the end. It should have been a team effort to push him into the portal. Sue Storm can't hold her own against Galactus. That's retarded. The Thing didn't really do anything in this movie. So I just feel like Marvel, it's the better of the movies that have come out this year, and even within the last few years, maybe since, I guess, Guardians 3 would be the last decent movie. And even then, I think that movie's a little too long. And it's probably among the top few movies since Endgame / No Way Home, because depending on how you want to slice with the end of that. What'd you think about the Fantastic Four sort of bomb? Because I say bomb, meaning they needed this to be $1 billion, and it's like half that.
Yeah, I will say I mean, obviously from my perspective, it's different to look at it as like I separate it out based off of like dollar success versus success as a film. It's really hard nowadays to go off of dollar success. We're seeing countless hindrances since COVID really took us over, and a lot of even our theaters over here are noticing a hit. I know our local theater here in Zephyr Hills almost had to close down because their success was just non-existent. You see like platforms really big like Amazon that are picking up these films while they're in theaters and people are watching them at home. It's cheaper. They don't have to drive. They don't have to leave. So I don't know how that's impacting the film from the dollar standpoint. But as far as the success, I have mixed feelings for Fantastic Four. I did really like it. I loved the classic feel of the film. I loved that it had like the classic take of the suits and how everything was going through. I thought Galactus looked amazing. I really think, like you said, I wanted more of just the team aspect. If there had been more teamwork throughout the film, it would have been easier for me to kind of engulf myself in the world, in the universe that they're wanting to start getting into this next phase of Marvel. And I don't feel like it gave me that effort. And I don't know if it's because of maybe they were trying to stay away from the origin story that we've gotten before, and they were just trying to continue off of, hey, here's a recap of what they've experienced, here's where they are now, which I was happy kind of about getting that to an extent, but I don't know if that impacted the amount of like enjoyment that I had for it being a team film and never really getting that. They didn't really ever work together all together to be able, like you said, you see the Galactus, he's the big bad, and they don't ever end with we're gonna take every effort we can. Thing comes down from the sky. Mr. Fantastic has encircled him. Maybe
Right.
Human
It's like
Torch is
one person
encircling
at a
him
time.
too.
Yeah, everything is one
Something.
person.
Yeah, it was just
Yeah. Yeah, the best part of the movie, in a lot of ways, is that montage sequence in the beginning where we're kind of like catching up for the last 3 or 4 years of them going into space, getting their powers, and how they handle that montage works way better than the Superman montage where, so many years ago, this and this, and that's like, oh, yeah. But I think that the irony is Marvel now, if there wasn't already a heightened demand of all eggs in one basket over this Avengers Doomsday project, I don't know how Kevin Feige still has a job, to be honest. I mean, the numbers of box office failures in comparison to where they were is extraordinary. And I think you brought up a very valid point. Since COVID, the routine has been broken. You used to go to the movies once, twice, 3 times a week. It was like a regular thing. Everybody's going to the movies. No one's going to the movies now. Now it's like an inconvenience to go to the movies. Most movies are meh, and you kind of have to win audiences over. Because let's face it, nothing was original. Like all the movies, the top 20 something movies, you have to. It's slim pickings on originality. Like Minecraft is based on a video game. I'll say that's original enough, but that's arguable, right? F1 is basically Top Gun Maverick with race cars. Okay, original enough. We'll give it that. Sinners, which is the that's an original film. That's an original project. It did okay at box office. Everything else in that sort of like top of the tier list is some version of another thing. Part 6, 7,
remake,
8
continuation. Yes.
I think most people are like, I got all that other stuff I can pick through. I'll wait and see if someone says it's great, and I'll go see it in the theater.
Exactly.
For either of these two movies, did you have people in your circles telling you that either of these were great and that you needed to go see them?
My circle is part of that group of people that don't go to the movies that often. They don't have the time or the effort. Everyone's busy with their families. They have to prioritize what they're going to do, how they're going to spend their time. And we don't go to the movies as often as we used to. It's a mixture of just the effort to go do it and hope that it's actually a good film. And it's also a matter of like, we want to be able to, have the confidence that like when we walk out of the theater, like there wasn't a regret of, well, we haven't gone in the theater in 3 months, but we saw that and now it's kind of like, why did we see it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I had that feeling with either of these films. I was looking forward to these films. There's enough percentage in both of them to where I enjoyed them to say I'm looking forward to where this goes from here. I feel like in that sense, the tie-in to what else is going to happen from this point forward, I felt like I didn't get that part from either of the films. Like these are supposed to be lead-in films to different things and different takes. Yes, the after credit scene for Fantastic Four hinted at a little bit of something, but it's stuff that we already knew was happening. So for me, it's not that Marvel after credit scene that we sit there on the edge of our seat with our popcorn waiting to see what they surprise us with. We didn't get that for this film. I don't feel
I think it was disappointing because they set up the ship coming into the main MCU universe at the end of Thunderbolts, and this credit scene didn't explain that. We didn't get anything that makes that make sense. So that's kind of a faux pas. And their thing is they have to understand they've got to dumb this down for the kid level to put all these things together, and they didn't do that. Superman is sort of like a free-for-all, and then they tease the Supergirl movie, the Supergirl appearance, and it's her dog, Crypto, and she basically and again, this makes no sense whatsoever because Supergirl is next. They're adapting the Tom King story, The Woman of Tomorrow. I found it to be a complete ripoff of True Grit. I thought it was a terrible story. She turns 21, goes to a place where they have a red sun so she can get drunk and experience all that. And she basically becomes on a True Grit adventure. But she's True Grit. She's drunk in that scene, which makes no sense because she's back in a yellow sun. That's not what people wanted to go to a Superman movie. Yeah. And then, to be honest, the next project is this Peacemaker thing, which I just did a video on, and whatever. I don't know.
The show, yeah.
Oof, yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't really know. At this, I think we've talked about it several times. At this point, I don't have high hopes for DC. It takes a lot for me to stay in that positivity because I have so many things that I would like to see DC do and they don't. One of my favorites still hasn't really gotten enough of a showcase to where I'm impressed by it, and that's Martian Manhunter. Brief showcase in Supergirl, but not enough to where I was like, yes, this is Martian Manhunter. Like it wasn't how I wanted him to be seen and showcased in any way. I think it's more so kind of what happens now with DC for me. Like whatever they do. And if I feel like I want to see it, I'll go see it. In that sense, I look forward more to Marvel because Marvel has had more success and they have branched out to experience between cinematic and television overall, giving us different things that we can kind of see throughout the year and then hopefully connect it back to whatever that big production is at the end of their phases, which I do enjoy that. I think that makes it different and it kind of grows with you. And these are films that, like you said, are not nearly as good as what they were back when Marvel first started getting big and starting off their showcases of Avengers and all of the original characters that we know and love. But I feel like it's getting to that point where they're introducing characters that aren't as well known, and that's what might be one of the hard things for them as a company to see if that's going to get as much love and attention, even though they have X-Men and things that they didn't have before. I don't know if they're going to be able to hit as hard with all of the impacts that things like COVID have had on them and their shows.
Yeah, I think they have fumbled away all of the good graces. They've made a mess of everything because they don't really adapt things in any sort of like sense, right? We pushed Captain Marvel to the front of the line and skipped Black Widow, so her movie is like after her death, and it doesn't even make sense in the grand scheme of things. I think there's so many push towards these newer characters. They're trying to not pay royalties for some of the older characters, but they're not adapting story arcs and things that make sense. And now they've got a big mess, just like they had in the comic books. It's going to be this big reboot, convoluted mess with bringing RDJ and Chris Evans and all these people kind of into some sort of new version of something. I just don't. I mean, I think it'll make a lot of money. I don't think it's going to make $2
Oh,
billion.
yeah.
I think it'll be enough to recalibrate, but that should be the end for like a few years. They should take like 3 years off to get X-Men right. They should take, but I haven't heard a single rumor about X-Men though. That's made me excited about X-Men. All the rumors that I had always heard had always been a bad casting decision or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But overall, I think both franchises are just killing the superhero genre. But again, the indies can't help themselves. So I think I didn't even watch this version of whatever the Crow was supposed to be.
Oh no, we had no interest in that.
I'm not watching that. The Hellboy one was just a complete waste of time as well. It's just we're in a really rough place with movies, and then superhero comic book adapted are some of the. So one thing for sure is some things weren't that terrible. One thing that surprised me dramatically, I didn't do a full video on this, and I should have. I recommended it to you. You saw it, and you were like blowing up my phone with messages. Like, yes. I know. So
yes.
Final Destination Bloodlines is phenomenal. Like it is. It's not like a little bit better than the other movies. It's significantly better than the original movies. And what I mean by that is the B plot to the horror slasher, it's kind of like gore fest type approach to killing people off with this mysterious figure. Because it doesn't really have a villain. It doesn't really have a big bad. It's sort of like the mysterious death that's coming for you because you've cheated death. Mm-hmm. The B plot is about family in this sort of like genetic hierarchy of, oh wait, you cheated death. Death didn't get you in time to have a bunch of kids, grandkids, and whatever. So you have sort of like bloodlines. You have this massive heritage that death has to come after because it has to right the ship. And so it changes the dynamic in a very interesting way because it's more about like, how can I save everyone I care about? Not just dodge a rake or dodge a stray thing falling on something. So yes, all those things are there. So people that love Final Destination and all the gore and all the crazy death, you're going to get all that. Yeah. It has a great disaster sequence, but it's so much more than I think it just laid the groundwork to go forward because of, and we'll get to the spoiler at the end, but you text me, you like this too. You were shocked at how good it was.
I did. When you recommended that I watch it, I was more shocked in that factor because I never would look at this series and be like, my dad will totally love Final Destination because it's just not one of those things that you're into. Mm-mm. So when you recommended it, I was like, okay, maybe it is worth a shot. And this franchise of films is my generation. Like, so it was launched originally specifically. And if you go through and you watch the originals, the things that these people go through are things that millennials do on the daily. Like we're driving and there's a log truck in front of us, or we're going on roller coasters with our friends, or we're going tanning in a tanning salon. And so all of the ways that it impacted people, it impacted my generation. And this film did it even more. And then it still did all of the homages to the original films in the perfect way. And I think that it was a good mix of targeting original fans of the franchise and then anybody that was just giving it a shot as a horror film. Maybe never even knew that it was a thing and just said, hey, this looks interesting and went to watch it. It's a perfect mix of both. So I think in that sense, it makes the movie even better. Yeah, the way that it was adapted and changed for the story and the reasoning behind the deaths made it easier to kind of suck you in and not just be like, if you looked down to like eat something, you were going to miss something. Like it was one of those, like, you had to keep your eye on the screen or you were not going to have an idea of what just happened. You were going to blink and you were going to miss it. And
it is fast paced. Yeah.
I think I told you.
It's also short, right? Because it's less than 2 hours long. And it is definitely
it was crazy that it was able to have that strong of an impact in such a short period of time. I don't remember the length of time for the other films. I don't think I sat down and kind of compared and contrasted that, but I feel like despite the short length, it still had a stronger impact than any of the previous films did ever.
Yeah, and so folks, I'll make sure I try to put a link in the description for my Final Destination sort of breakdown of the other 5 movies. Just a brief recap was I like 2 the most. I think 2 paid homage to number 1, and it was more about the structure of cheating death. So I don't care about any of the characters in the first movie. They kill off all of them, right? And then the other ones die off screen. So 2 is probably the best one, then number 1. And then it's just, I don't really care. So you have 3, 4, and 5. It's sort of like the roller coaster, the NASCAR race, and then the bridge sequence. There are positive and negatives to everything. The disasters are the best part. Some of the deaths are cool and gruesome and gory and crazy, but there's no real great character stuff. And they introduced a couple of ideas I didn't like. And in this one, I think what they kind of did was more like add to everything, which is always what the trick is. I think I have to give James Mealy credit for that. He is Sequential Treasures is sort of a comic book guru. And he says, this is the best way to do, like, if you're finally getting to write Batman or Superman, you don't change everything. You find these little nuances to add to it. And he would illustrate different stories where, see, this is about the death of Martha and Thomas and the effect on Bruce in his childhood, but it didn't change that any of that happened. It all stays in place. It's just another piece of trauma. It's another thing that can reflect back. That's what this movie did. It just added more to that. Because as far as we know, and again, I don't know about you, my brain went to, as far as I know, everyone in all of the other movies are descendants of these people impacted, descendants of grandma who leads the surviving this tragedy. So in theory, everything in the other movies could have just been her and the other person's. And again, major spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie, the little black kid that's saved is sort of like the major character that we see throughout the franchise, the little Mr. Death guy. Like you love that he is in all these movies. He is one of the cool. He kind of like pops up, and anyway, so the character's name is Bloodsworth. And you get more of that. You're like, it's a big reveal that he's this little boy. But that means that all of his descendants and everything are now at risk because he would be after her death. So once all of her heirs are gone, it goes to him and all his heirs. So another whole movie can now pick up where this left off because it kind of fixed everything in the past. You and I were messaging back up before about this, and we were sort of like, man, this is really, really done well, or at least the right way to move forward.
Most definitely. I think the way that they are hitting you in this film, allowing us to know like a hint of what may happen in the next one, is what makes you excited for the next film. That's like the after credit scenes that you see in Marvel and all these movies. It makes you look forward to it. You have a little idea of what may happen, and then you kind of go through all of the what ifs in your brain, like, well, what if they do this, or what if they do this, and what if this ties in, and leaning back to like what you said, where the previous films could all be linked to the circumstances. I think, like, I have a high. I don't know how to like best phrase it, but I think if we were to take that scene where she takes all of the pages out of the book and she puts it on the wall and she's doing the timeline of everyone's names that were in that accident and then all of their lines, if you paused that, I think that if they really wanted to hit you, they would have all of the previous film characters connected to all of these victims that ended up surviving that accident. I think that would be the best way to kind of make sure that everything is still staying connected.
That would have been interesting because you could have easily said, Alex and his parents were, and see, the argument's going to be, so that the diehard fans of the franchise will say, the reason my theory doesn't hold up is because, like in the first movie, Alex and Clear and all that, so the kids died before their parents died, right? So that would mess up our theory in some ways. It would mess up the theory. However, it feels like it's the right way to move forward. It feels like this is kind of what we do, because you don't have to directly say anything about the previous movies. You don't have to do any of what I'm saying. I said it just makes for good mythology and good fun. I got to be honest. I stand by the biggest thing too, and you and I have talked about this your whole life, is as a critic, there's like the rewatchability. Like if you don't want to rewatch it again, how great is it? Like this, there are great movies I never want to sit through again. This is a solid movie that I love watching again. And I was shocked that I enjoyed watching. Like you said, you were surprised I even liked them. And I didn't like them. I did not like most of them. And most of them have like a cool disaster scene and maybe a cool death scene here or there. But you were like, no, I do not want to ever get into a tanning bed because I've seen Final Destination. I don't any crickety crackety what on a roller coaster, my brain goes to Final Destination. I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. So yeah. But if folks hadn't seen Bloodlines, you'd recommend it too, right?
Oh, 100%. I already have. I've already recommended it. I don't, and kind of like your situation and impact you had when you told me you watched it, I'm having that impact on other people because they're like, you don't even like those movies. I was like, I don't, but I loved this one.
Yeah.
And I think it was just different. The way that it was done, the premonition scene, all of this stuff and the way that it circled back. It's just very interesting to kind of see how it was done and written. And it, like I said, you can't look down. You have to pay attention or you're going to miss something. And it's going to be one of those situations where you have to kind of piece it together and realize all of the small details and nuances that they put in this film. And even if it's the circumstances where you have, you're trying, like the other films had that side of it where you were cheering on the person to hope that they survived. Like you're like, yeah, I really I hope that this was a whole different thing for me. I was like cheering on everybody, like, oh man, I really I feel like all the characters had an impact on you in some way, and it was just interesting to see how they did it. And I think that overall, in that sense, it made it to where it was, it made you hopeful and excited to keep going and keep watching. And it did enough of an impact to where it was a perfect amount of time. I can't imagine the movie being longer. I can't imagine it being shorter. I think it was exactly what it needs to be to have all of those nuances. But at the same time, it makes you intrigued to see, like, if they do have deleted scenes, what did they not include?
Yeah, I don't really want deleted scenes for this one. I like it. Like I almost feel like I don't want to rock the boat because I got a good one. And I got a good one. Like I'm willing to give it a 4, which for me is a lot and a very strong rewatchability. So 4 out of 5, like an 8 out of 10 for me is a huge number for a generic slasher type movie like this, especially anything that's modern. Yeah, enjoyed this one a lot. I'm glad you did too. Okay. And folks, if you guys out there, let us know what you think because I've been shocked by Final Destination Bloodlines. It surprised me.
And millennials, prepare yourself because it's just adding to our list of fears and anxieties.
Yeah, the craziest one was the rake on the trampoline. Like I felt I could just feel it getting ready to happen.
All of the parents are like, "Get the rake!"
and then they redirect it. And you don't expect it. And I hate the fact that they spoil any of this stuff in trailers. And I think trailers have gotten terrible. Please, if you have remote interest to see a movie in a theater, just don't watch any of the trailers. Just get a feel for it. Just don't watch. They ruin so much in trailers nowadays. So
I agree with that.
But we had that. That was a good one. I think I didn't include it in our conversation. It's just now available for purchase. I don't think it's streaming anywhere yet, but we'll talk about F1. Maybe if we get together, do another show, you'll have a chance to see F1. And I think those are really the 2 best movies for me in the sense of entertainment value. And it kind of takes me to, I don't want to say a letdown, but I wanted to see your take because I had mixed feelings over Wednesday.
It's me, Wednesday Addams. My meal of misfortune is now at Wendy's. It's pure torture with uniquely excruciating dips of dread. Enjoy the anguish.
Okay.
I didn't dislike Wednesday. I don't dislike where it's going. I liked season 1 so much. I was all cattywampus on us, folks. Hang on, let's see if we can fix that. Nope, it's not gonna work like that. All right, well, it is what it is. I liked season 1 so much that I watched it twice and got the missus to watch it. So that's unheard of. She doesn't watch anything. Then I told her that I watched. It's first off, there's only 4 episodes. It's season split in half. Has like a kind of a not so silly end. It's supposed to be a suspenseful. It's silly because there's already a teaser for the second half of the season, so you obviously know that Wednesday is the title character. Nothing's going to happen to her. So I actually held it. Of course. Yeah, I held it back for her to watch it. So I just figured I'll just wait for the other episodes to drop, and then she can just watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I understand.
Before we get too far down the rabbit hole, what were your thoughts on season 1? Because I was incredibly surprised. I avoided it like the plague. I didn't want to watch it. I didn't want it ruined for me. I love Addams Family. And it was probably 3 or 4 weeks out. I had 2 or 3 people I really trust as you're really going to like it. And sure enough, it was sort of Addams Family meets Harry Potter. And there was really only one filler episode. And other than that, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was great. I loved season 1. So, what was your take on season 1?
Very similar. But I didn't wait. I was looking forward to Wednesday the minute that it was promoted. I thought Jenna Ortega was going to be the best choice and I knew that the way that Tim was working with her to make the character come to life even more was something that um, I was excited for. We are Tim Burton family. For those of you who don't know, which I don't think that that's going to be likely because it's my dad. Um, we have been raised to love Tim Burton films from the start, and I think I was looking forward to the fact that he was doing a show. I will say my favorite part of Wednesday, and this is just, I think I like it even more because of the fact that I've watched interviews and get an idea of the perspective on it, was the dance sequence. To learn exactly what all went into that and how she does connect all of the different Wednesdays that we've had, different versions of the character, and incorporated them into that. And it was just like, I don't know. I think it was just that impact that we needed in the season. But overall, the story, like you said, it was a perfect
Scooby
mix
Doo meets
of the
Harry Potter,
Creepy
right? It's a little
Adams.
Scooby Doo meets Harry Potter with little Adams. And
Little
for those of you who
murder
don't know,
mystery in there. Yeah.
we'll clarify, right? She was raised on Nightmare Before Christmas, Batman, Beetlejuice, a little bit of Pee Wee's Big Top, but definitely, I mean, Pee Wee's Big Adventure. But those are the big three: Batman,
Yes.
Beetlejuice, Nightmare Before Christmas. Even though he's a producer, not the director, those are the big three. Like, and I don't mean like a little bit. Obviously, people have talked about my impact with Batman, and yeah. So imagine how could I not? And then, of course, when she gets older, then you can they can watch more stuff. So you get into Sleepy Hollow, and you get into stuff that's a little more, So definitely a fan. And again, love Addams Family. I actually love the Raul Julia, Angelica Houston. I think you watched Christina Ricci I think you watched those when you were. I mean, yeah, they're fine. I didn't have any major problem with those. So when this was sort of announced and Burton was attached, there's a lot of backlash. People didn't like for the casting. I thought the casting was fine because of the original drawings, the original Charles Addams strip, not necessarily the John Adams version of Gomez on the TV show. But I felt like, that's fine. And then in season 1, they were kind of the worst episode, and it was kind of a little bit of a drag. And in season 2, I was like, okay, they take us back there, fine. They have a lot of elements to bring us there. She's on sort of another sort of adventure type thing. The best scene was ruined in a lot of ways in the promotional material where she's going through the airport security because she's stalking a serial killer. And it's one of the better elements of the thing. She is still spot on as a version of Wednesday. One of the problems they have with the casting is because they can't you can't do these fast enough. Is Pugsley's not really Pugsley anymore. He's growing up, so it's not working for the dynamic as much for me. I didn't care for that as much in season 2. I really just felt like both of the actors now, it's not them, it's what they're being written to do. I thought that both Morticia and Gomez were kind of off in season 2. They didn't feel. Morticia's playing this like, I'm your mom, I can't let you be in harm's way, and it's too much of you. Okay, that's different. Not a very Addams Family thing, man. Like, and Gomez isn't jovial. He should, like, when there's blood splattering and craziness going on, she'd be like having a cocktail and cracking a joke about it. You know what I mean? Lurch, get me a straw, or let me freshen up my drink, or just, that's the kind of jovial stuff that's missing.
That's true.
But I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was fine. The complexity of the story, because this character is like on the scene and then disappears. Like they introduce characters and they just. So when you watch the second half, So I think that when people binge watch it, it'll be fine, but it's going to be this massive gap between the seasons. Thing is still fantastic, just absolutely done fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. No issues with that. I will say that, like, you kind of to touch on what you said with the parents, more so Morticia than anything for me. But I think it's because the way that Morticia is like approaching the issues Wednesday's having, the fact that they're on campus with them, like it was just very odd the way that they decided to change the circumstances. And I almost wish, and I don't know if maybe this will be different for those who haven't watched the first part, if I had waited for the full season to like, maybe it would be different because it's all together. Maybe it ties circles back around to where I can enjoy it a little bit more. But whenever you've had the classic characters done a certain way, like you said, for you, Pugsley is very odd because you're not like used to that. I don't feel like it's as big of a deal for me because to have the characters grow up, I almost feel is like a fresh take on the story. So that part didn't really agitate me as much or have a negative impact as the parents did. I feel like the parents being on campus and more involved and being around them as much as they are, and the way that Morticia is handling circumstances, it's just not how you see that family interact with one another. So I don't know.
I think we're saying the same. I think we're saying the same thing too, to be honest. So, like with Pugsley, it's not that he's growing up a little bit; it's that he's like this mischievous, crazy kid that you can't really control. And in the show now, in this first few episodes, he's like trying to fit in, and I don't like them trying to fit in.
Oddball out. He's not doing what he should do. Yeah.
He doesn't care if he fits in.
He should be the oddball, troublesome one that just wants to play pranks on people and then gets. Yeah, exactly. I agree with that.
And his only fitting in is in the Addams family itself because he is the male that has to carry on the Addams legacy, and that's the only part that matters for Pugsley. The thing with the two parents, especially Morticia, is they don't feel weird. They're not. So they should be like the hyper version of this misfit universe, if that makes sense. Sure. So like we have misfits and they all do these crazy weird things. They shouldn't be fazed by any of these things. Instead, they're trying to have it like Cloak and Dagger, Harry Potter-esque sort of mystery and solve the. So I just feel like part of the problem is we got half a season. That is probably part of the problem because, like you said, it probably will work itself out when we have more information. We also have a ton of characters. Obviously, they added Steve Buscemi as the new person that takes over the school. He's okay. Maybe it's me. I don't remember Lurch enough in season 1. He didn't feel like Lurch enough in this one. I don't know how to explain it. That felt a little off to me.
Yeah, I feel like, Lurch is never really attention focused, and I feel like maybe that's why, because we don't really have him in that. He just pops in, does what Lurch does, and then gets out. Like that's how he's normally portrayed.
Maybe it needs to be. Maybe they need to ramp Lurch jokes up a little bit for me.
Maybe.
Because they did deliver. Because I didn't necessarily care for Fester in the season 1. Where he kind of popped in and leaves. But I will say, I'm actually enjoying Fester.
Yes, they did.
Fred Armisen, make sure I got Fred's name right. Fred Armisen's good. I don't know why we needed this character. So they added this character. She's a student. She becomes like a stalker and a trickster and just
weird.
I don't know.
Creepy. Yeah, I don't know.
It's like throwing another thing on the wall. It's like I feel like we have just too much stuff with some of these type of things. She's still great. I got to be honest. Emma Myers is still fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Joy Sunday is fine. We do get Taylor back again. Mm-hmm. And then of course they do dance briefly. Here's that great sequence in the airport.
Yes.
Yeah, here's Mama Joanna Lumley. I thought Mama was a little too young. Would have rather seen a little bit of an older Mama, but
that's
it's okay.
Fair. Yeah, I will say that when she came on the screen, I didn't put it together right away. Like, I wouldn't have realized that that's who that was supposed to be because she's always been portrayed very, very elderly. And I wish that they had kept the creepy-esque atmosphere she has. Like, she's too Morticia. Morticia, the way Morticia is and the way she holds herself, and she's always, like, well-dressed and well-kept and beautiful. I feel like having the grandmother that was kind of, like, crotchety and creepy and weird and popping out of nowhere, like...
And uber weird and uber crazy and weird.
Exactly.
And they do miss moments. Like, so in this, why would he have normal rubber ducks? Like, It
Even
wasn't
have
a
like
bad scene. It's like
creepy
he should have like
spikes
a
or something.
duck without a
Yeah.
head or something. You know what I mean? It would
Something.
just,
Yeah.
there's little things like that I think it misses. However, so not as strong as season 1. I feel like
No.
it took a step back, but I have
Yeah.
half
We're trying to
story.
stay positive. Yeah. Trying
Yeah.
to stay positive. We'll see if it circles around and makes more sense and we have those oh moments in part 2, which is coming up. I think it's this weekend. So
Is it really that soon?
I think so.
That's great. That's good. Oh yeah. September 3rd. Oh crap. That's tomorrow. Oh man. We're recording this. By the time you guys are seeing this, we'll actually already have it. So
we would
by
have
the time you're already
already
seeing this, we'll already have our take on. So this is actually, I'm glad that we were able to record it. So this is actually my unfiltered, fettered version. I don't have to remember what I felt. This is actually it. So I'm glad that actually worked out. That was not planned. I didn't know. I actually, for some reason, thought it was November, but that must be Stranger Things.
No. Yeah.
So, yeah, folks, let me know what you guys think. I was such a reluctant fan of the first season. I came in, I didn't have super high hopes, but I feel like I think the split season is probably the problem. But we'll get 4 more episodes, shortly, and we'll go from there. So, yeah, all right, that's good. The last topic isn't really up your alley, but I wanted to kind of get it off my to-do list, and I kind of wanted to get your take on some stuff because I think
that's fine.
what we're seeing is it's indicative of a problem in sort of everything that's collectible. And I think that whether like it or not, sports cards has always been one of the big drivers because it's the biggest moneymaker, especially baseball cards.
Yeah.
Basketball cards have finally caught up, but it's by far this big revenue generator. Non-sports cards, comic books, Funkos, toys. Legos would be the only thing, but it's sort of a weird outlier. Legos sort of have like a legacy that will just live on forever. They always find ways to win over every kid's group. So they just live on forever. I don't think Legos has any. They won your generation's kids over. So like my grandkids are all about Legos, all of them.
Yes, they are.
So there's no hope of Legos dying. So they're kind of an anomaly to this. And they also can cheat because they can adapt to any popular thing to get them hooked. So.
Exactly.
But other stuff follows sports cards. And the one thing I was telling Tay about was this happened at the biggest event, the biggest national card show recently, but it's happened at a few other events where they have people, and they've always done this. I tried to explain it to her briefly before the show. We talked about it. And folks, if you've seen this in stores, my whole life, we've had this. You'll go in and there'll be like a pack of cards and it's in a package, but it's not the sealed wax or foil package. It's like it'll say like 30 Pokemon cards, 1 hollow, whatever, and it's just like loose cards in a little plastic thing on a card like that. It'll be like they're cheap, and you'll see all that. You'll see comic books repacked. You'll see like 10 collector comic books for $10, and you can see there's just random comic books in there. Those are called repacks, and it's a way of the dealers getting rid of some of their loose stuff. It's always been a thing. Usually it involves some sort of third-party group. It's not like a store or a big corporation. It's just like I don't want to say like a knockoff corporation, but let's just face it, it kind of is. And there was really no gems in there. This wasn't like you were going to go buy Ollie's and get a $10 pack and you were going to end up with some crazy expensive. Now, there are sometimes decent comic books, but they're usually damaged. That's what I find. I find the ones that are decent, they're damaged. They have issues with it. Same thing with those cards. It's them getting rid of 30 regular Pokemon cards, even if they give you one decent one, then you'll buy another one, right? Imagine that on like high-end, expensive cards. So they do these things called breaks for people now will break open these repacks. And they purposely are putting in, I'm talking hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars. So the newest one right now, because we're headed into football season, is ramping up at this as we speak. They're 30 teams. So imagine if you couple $100 per team, it's like, thousands of dollars. Then they give out 10,000. So they're making 10,000, 20,000, 30, and then they're buying back the card. If you didn't like the card that you won, they'll buy them back at 80 to 90%. And I'm like, it's this constant FOMO lottery ticket game that's being played in all this market.
Yeah.
And it's conditioned the kids, and this is what came out of the national. I saw some YouTube videos on this, and I definitely see it with comic books. It's only about getting the cool thing. It's only about getting the cool thing. I don't know where the collectors are. Do we have collectors? Do we have someone who goes, oh, I got this one. It's going in a binder. I'm going to put this in the binder. I'm going to keep it for
Save it.
20 years. I'm going to enjoy looking at this, or I'm going to put together a set.
Yeah.
I actually just saw a video where people were talking about no one's making sets of cards anymore. So if you look back at really old cards that are way older than us, Taylor, imagine 1950s, 60s baseball cards.
Yeah,
there are regular players that I've never heard of that are worth tons of money because you can't get them. They're just that rare to make a set. You can't make a set without that card, right?
That makes sense.
If no one's
Yeah.
making sets, do those stay worth anything? Because I don't think so. Well, guess what? Comic books are talking about doing repacks too. You know what I mean? Spend $100 on this repack, and then you're guaranteed to get $25 or $30. But then out of X many, there'll be a $500 one. It's like a lottery ticket. So it's going to create that same type of thing. Do you have any circles or friends or anybody that's in any of these sort of collector circles, or any feedback that you've seen, or any thoughts you have on any of this kind of stuff?
I do actually. We actually have two friends. One who's very similar to you, where he's impacted with the card side of things. He does more for the competition cards. So from the Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic the Gathering side of things, he will collect his his set like you do with your comics, and that he uses for his competitions and his play, but then he also is doing the repacks and all that kind of stuff to make sure that he's keeping track of inventory, and then he sells things together. So he kind of does both sides of it. And he is also we actually had dinner with him the other night, and he was talking about how he's seen an extreme impact on his card store because of the same situation. He is trying to get stock or inventory and isn't able to get that same impact because there's too many people out here wanting to get that experience of, I just want that one thing, but I'm going to buy 50 of them until I get it. Instead of, oh no, I'm looking specifically for this set. Can you help me find it and finish it?
Yep.
So it's very hard for him to have that same kind of impact that he had before. And in a whole different sense, and I didn't actually know this till I talked to him, he said that a lot of competitions for cards were impacted tremendously through COVID because they weren't doing the in-person competitions anymore. They were trying to do them remote somehow. And they've come up with so many systems that are virtual to where people don't even use physical cards. They're using virtual cards. And so it's impacting these people that are having all these card shops or trying to make these sales, and now they have a whole bunch of stuff that's not even worth anything anymore.
It's not moving.
5 years ago, even though 5 years ago it may have been drastically different, it's not that same anymore. And I know from like the comic book side, we have a lot of local shops and stuff that still do comics, but it's not nearly as big as it used to be. A lot of stuff is gravitating more, like these shops are gravitating more towards like the role-playing games and the things that we're seeing that are booming right now in comparison to the cards and the comics that they used to be. And I think that that's an interesting thing to kind of see how it's changing over time. Whenever I walk into the same stores, I can kind of see based off their inventory how they're appealing to the current market. And that's interesting to see.
Yeah, because all these, and I mentioned the repack side, but obviously the other part are just called card breaks, where you just open a box of cards and people will do that. They'll sell the card packs. And I actually thought about doing that because I have a set of like these 4 boxes I may pool together. I thought about doing it on Whatnot because I could sell the packs, but I think it's such a low dollar thing. No one's going to want them. So I may just do it just for fun on YouTube and give the cards away or something like that. But they're driving up the price online, not in person. So your card shop now, who used to be able to get, let's say 10 boxes, can afford to get 1 box. They can't get. So it's messing up the entire market. Everything is changing. You mentioned the virtual thing. Also imagine, because eBay has now done this as well, but several outlets have done this. eBay's a little later to the game, but they have a vault. So if you buy a card of a certain value, So I have like here. So this is not one that is, but this is an example, right? So this is a professionally graded basketball player of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But if this was like a PSA 9 or a 10, it's a higher grade, it would be worth, let's say, $5,000. So I don't have to have it shipped. They can just keep it in their vault, and then I can list it on eBay whenever I want. They'll just hold it for me, basically. So people are doing that because it's fast. You don't have to deal with the post office, the risk of the insurance, and the
Fast
price.
turnaround.
And it's a faster turnaround to sell. They can just hold it. I just wait. And I could literally be on my phone and go, okay, list it. Bam. Like that. You know what I mean? So Cream's not a good example, but imagine active players, active games.
Yeah.
So football season's ready to start on Thursday. So imagine having these cards like in the wings. They're waiting, right? And they can pop them out there faster, adjust their prices faster than people at home who have to rush to their computers to buy or sell or whatever, let alone a shop.
Go to the post office. Yeah,
the shop can't even compete with any of that. So and I say all that because I do think we're seeing this with kind of everything. I think everything is in sort of flux. The economy, I think, has, I want to say, I'm not going to say it's better. I'm going to say I feel like it's more stable than maybe 2 years ago. I feel people are using their money strategically, but the online part of it makes so much of it cheap, or I got to be honest, outright garbage. Like you'll see all these people on Facebook and they'll have thousands and thousands and thousands of cards, or they'll have boxes and boxes of comics. You can't even give them away hardly. You know what I mean? You feel like, so I'm going to do some shows over the next few months and I'm going to put like 25 cents on this bin of cards I have. I have like probably like this thing of like 5,000 cards. None of your kids and none of my other grandkids are into cards. So what am I supposed to do? If there's no one ever buying, there's no one collecting. What
it doesn't even happen anymore. And I think it's really tough too, because nowadays it's a matter of like, where do you put things like that? I think that's why collections have started to go down so much, is that people don't collect because they don't know where to put them. And that's not the popular thing to do anymore. Like, it's not a big thing for people to have I think the only equivalent for at least my generation is books. People still have libraries of books in their house. It's still a thing that's still present currently, but I feel like other than that, I don't see much else anymore. I don't.
I think you run in book circles. I don't think books are a thing. I think that you're just in book circles. I think most people are phasing out of books too. And physical movies. I can't move physical movies.
Oh, that's a big thing.
Or physical movies and books. Sure. Yeah. And space is an issue. I get it in a lot of ways. But I do feel like there's going to be, mark my words, when my beautiful daughter is my age, she'll have these stories like, you don't understand how many cards your pop has had. You don't understand how many comics he had.
Already
you just don't.
Did. They know. They already know the stories. And then you gave me my your Harry Potter card set, and I still have the book of all the Harry Potter cards. And Caleb and I were talking about Harry Potter, so I was kind of like showcasing some of the cards to him. And he was like, "This is a really big book," and I was like, "This is nothing compared to the amount of cards your pops has." It's like,
that
like
was
this
just
is
one. I think that's probably like one or two sets. It's not even like, I'm assuming there's a set of Harry Potter cards for every single movie. I didn't have every single movie.
Probably not. But I just think it was funny that he was just like, "Wow, this is impressive." I was like, "No, it's not." Like,
there's more cards in that room right there than
exactly.
he's ever. Yeah. Interesting. I don't know what the future holds with all of this. Obviously, I'm just now considering getting into Whatnot myself to kind of speed up moving some things through. I joked. I said, if I could sell these 100 things and make this amount of money to buy this one thing, it's kind of what I'd prefer to do. That's where I'm at. But I also know that by doing that, I'm also saying this many things are now worth next to zero or zero. And I can't imagine being a card shop owner, like you were talking about your friends and the friends of friends who own stores. I can't imagine having that kind of rent, that kind of overhead with doing this. Exactly. The margins are too small anyway, but I don't know what you do with all this extra stuff that no one's wanting. It's tricky. So
Yeah,
interesting.
it's definitely different. And I'm seeing a little bit of a difference in certain shops, where they're like compensating, like I said, where they're doing other things, but they're also doing a lot of compensating by doing events.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we're seeing that's popping up with a lot of these places. The shops are holding tournaments. They're allowing people to come and play the role playing games, and they're providing the pieces. Like it's different than just you walk in, you buy a comic book, you leave, and that's all that they do. It's not just a designated comic book shop. It's a little bit, it encompasses a lot more to it. Um, and that way, I think that they're making the most out of the space that they have. So I definitely give them props for being able to come up with that, be as creative as possible to keep their business going. But you can see the impact that it has based off the inventory and how it's just changed since the business opened. Like their collection and the things that they offer are not there anymore. And I know that we briefly touched on how I felt that a huge part of it, as well as why a lot of these shops don't have inventory, or it's just not as popular as it used to be, is because these conventions is where the collectors go. They don't go to shops as much anymore, or they want to physically go look through the books, check the grade, make sure physically in person that it's, and the best way to do that is seeing other collectors when you go to these conventions. And that's the popularity of those conventions has definitely gone up. So,
And there's a lot of deals to be had at those conventions, and I'll be honest, it is kind of full circle, because when I was in college, trying to think if any of them were comic book stores only. I think New England Comics had one over on the west side of Tampa, off Del Mabry, and it was a comic book store. I don't know what else they had. But Merlin's was a bookstore first, but it had all the TCG, it had models, it had games, it had videos, it was everything. It was crazy.
Like a Barnes and Noble. Yeah.
It was on scale. It was what it also felt more. This is way before we had nice lighting and clean floors like a Barnes and Noble.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Green Shift was a comic book and a music store. They made all their money on music instruments.
That was popular too.
Yeah, that was a big one. So most, and now I think there are some comic book store onlys, but going back to that, where they're adding toys back in and other stuff like that, I think makes, I never had a problem with that. People that are purists on that, I definitely don't want to see that, because I don't want to see, I never did that. I always did cards and comics. I lost her. Hopefully she's okay. I didn't mean to lose her. I did not kick her out. That wasn't me, just so everybody knows. She could have done it, or it was a connection issue, but I never did that. I always had cards and comics and everything. Didn't have toys as much. Sometimes you could get a good deal on something that you could flip or include or whatever, but it's always been tricky. So until recently, where I was doing this storefront that I am right now, where that's kind of been the focus, is more like in toys, and it's been selling like crazy. It's been like since last year, toys and more toys over comics and cards and stuff like that. Now, there are people like the Whatnot people and stuff like that who did buy a lot of the cards. So that's part of it. So, system shut off on her. So I don't know if she'll be able to come back or not, but I'm glad to have her. Glad you're able to hang out with us. Hopefully you guys had a good time. It's great to spend time with her and great time with you. So you enjoyed our topics. Let us know what you guys think. Tons of stuff to talk about. So we'll be able to have her back next time, and then we'll talk then. So you guys take care. Until next time.
On June 11th,
dinosaurs and man, two species suddenly thrown back into the mix together.
Can I touch it?
Sure. How can we possibly have the slightest idea what to expect?
Universal Pictures presents a Steven Spielberg film, an adventure 65 million years in the making. Look out! Jurassic Park, rated PG-13. Special premiere tomorrow night. Starts Friday everywhere.
The danger, the daring, the challenge, the courage. Clash of the Titans. The risks, the rewards, the terror, the triumph. Clash of the Titans. The odyssey of the warrior Perseus. Through wonders no man has seen and horrors no man has faced. MGM presents Clash of the Titans, rated PG.
Starts Friday at the Century 25 Man's Birdcage Walk, Sacramento Drive-In, Stockton Royal.
For true